Welcome. My name is Patty Stewart. I'm the director of the Oneofakind show, and I am thrilled to be here to introduce two gentlemen that probably need no introduction. Colin and Justin from Home Heist, HGTV's Home Heist, will be here today very shortly to tell you about their great picks from the Oneofakind show, and also to tell you about their new book, Home Heist Style Guide. And they will be here right after this presentation, right over to the side of the stage, signing books for you, personalized books, so that's a treat. So ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Colin and Justin.
Aha! Oh, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Could you not chat a little bit for God's sake? Good evening, everybody. We're not entirely sure what is better than this has got to be said. It's slightly daunting to look out there and see 2,394,000 stylish people. Oh. I'm not going to lie, and I'll tell you what, we did an appearance recently in Vancouver. You're a hell of a lot more stylish than the Vancouver mob. I'm not going to lie to you. Much, much more stylish, ladies and gentlemen.
Meanwhile, look at this lovely audience. Have we been shopping? Look at her. Brady, did you watch Home Heist? Did you see the episode where we had the lovely couple who lived in a loft? Did you see that they're just sitting there?
Down there?
Good, stand up! See, look,
a little Ellery.
Catherine and Ken, Ellery.
You're coming along, guys.
Gorgeous people.
Now, because of the ambient noise up here, we can't actually hear ourselves talking. Can you hear us?
We can hear us in the back.
Is it perfectly clear?
Are we
Is it
booming?
coming through? Can you hear us?
We're booming.
Colin needs a bit more volume. Am I coming through?
Do I need more volume?
Fabulous. Boom, darling, boom.
Hiya,
That's
baby.
all good news. Now, guys, listen. We've had the most incredible time in Canada. We've had to make a really big decision because we were only ever going to be in Canada for a little while, and we never intended staying as long as we have now stayed. But we had to make a big decision last week whether we went back to Britain or whether we stayed in Canada. And obviously we're real homeboys. But Canada's become our new home. So we're staying, darlings. We're not going back to Britain. Darlings, if you think you're going to get rid of us that quickly, you've got another thing coming. The Home Heist programme for us has become one of the top shows on HGTV, and we're thoroughly proud of that, which means we've just been recommissioned for Series 3, and I think you've got us here for at least another 2 years.
It is. So
that's the plan. Home from home.
Obviously, you're all very, very stylish people. You're here buying wonderful things at this incredible show. But if you know any other tasteless people
Oh, they know a lot of tasteless people.
Oh, darling, you know any other tasteless Canadians? Anyone who's like the Celine Dion of decor? Take a wee snap, surprise them, why don't you? Just go round to theirs, tell them you've just popped round for a cup of tea, and when they're in the kitchen, put the kettle on, get your camera out. I need you to do this, okay? You can be my style agent, okay? Take a few snaps of their bad house, email them to Colin and Justin at HGTV, and we'll do the rest, okay?
Now, when we came to Canada a couple of years ago, I don't think either of us reckoned on finding just how, and I mean this in a loving way, just how unstylish some of you guys are. Now, the frustrating thing for us as Brits, we live in houses in Britain that are tiny, with gardens that are massive. You live in houses that are massive with gardens that are much, much smaller. I've never quite got my head around that because you've got the second largest landmass after Russia. Why aren't you using it? Why is it that it takes like 24 years to drive from one bit of the country to the other side of the country? We can get from the top of Britain to the bottom of Britain in several hours. We can get from one side of our island to the other side, in an hour and 45 minutes. So we're all about trying to capitalise on the space, but I think what surprised us most was how ambitious you are in your decorating and your design, yet how can I put this in a caring, loving way, how unsuccessfully a lot of those designs have come together. Now, it is a staggering thing. We're surrounded here by legions of beautiful people, gorgeous girls and gorgeous guys. Now, we always say that you can look at an audience and try and assemble in your mind how stylish people are actually at home in relation to their clothes. Now I'm looking across here, now obviously I know this couple here, their lovely boy, have a fabulous home because we did it. I'm seeing some really elegant bedrooms over at this side of the room, and I'm coming to this side of the room and I'm seeing some really beautiful hallways, some well manicured kitchens. It's all about the style. I'm coming across to this side of the audience and I'm seeing some, and I'm coming directly back. The least said about this bunch of the better. I hope you lot are going to listen carefully, guys, because you have a lot to learn.
You do.
I'm on the show.
Now, darlings, have you been shopping yet? Have you been out there? We have been shopping as well. And apparently, now these chocolates are better than sex, apparently. I was thinking, maybe we could put that to the test. And no, we're not going to have sex. But maybe we'll have a chocolate. Okay. I don't know if I'm supposed to do this, but what the hell? You know me, I'm a giver, darling. Well, shall I test these out first?
Yeah, I want to find out if they're good as well.
Oh, my darling,
second.
Have some sex with Colin.
Can I just tell you, darling, it'll be the best night's sleep you ever have. And the only thing that'll be stretched is your wardrobe.
I think so.
That's a shock. You close your ears, Ellery.
Maybe share these, pass them along. Even to the people in the cheap seats.
They're actually very, very nice. Now hold on a little second. Because these are...
these as well.
They're from Vancouver, ladies and gentlemen. Are we happy with that?
Yes, we like Vancouver.
Do you know what? As Scottish boys who live in Glasgow generally, there's a real rivalry between the kind of East Coast and the West Coast. And we always say, people who say Edinburgh's better than Glasgow or Glasgow's better than Edinburgh, we say, does it matter? I'm dribbling, I'm so excited. Does it matter? Both of those cities are really stylish, and it's the same in Vancouver and Toronto. There seems to be this real rivalry and a battle. Can you not all just accept that Toronto's bloody fabulous, and so is Vancouver? Do you know?
Maybe I feel like we're having
Forget the rivalry.
Not you. Have a citrus almond.
Have a little grab at these, darling. Pass these. I'm not entirely sure what these are. If anybody's got a nut allergy, don't die.
Oh, no, if there's any nut allergies.
I'll be there in a high
have a major reaction, darling.
Getting that peanut back out of your throat.
Get in there. Have a citrus. David, pass these around for me, okay? Hostess, let's stand up. Move around some crowd. Come on, baby. I need a gorgeous girl. Right, go and just, like, party, baby. Make everyone happy.
All around.
Coming back.
Now, everybody's telling us at the moment, when we're out and about in the public, that there's a credit crunch on the go. Do you know, as Canadians, you guys are pretty lucky because you haven't been affected by the downturn in the same way as other parts of the world. Our economy in Britain is in a really bad state at the moment. Let's not even talk about what's happening in America. But in Canada, there's obviously, your banks have managed themselves better and your government has been a bit fairer in the way that it's treated the finance department, so the economy hasn't downturned in the same way that it has elsewhere. But that aside, we're always looking for ways to create really stylish homes without breaking the bank, and our whole big destination in our mind is, how do you get the $1 million look without spending $1 million? Well, for us, it's all about sensible shopping, and we always say, have you picked up another man, Colin?
Look at this, it's like Chris and Stephen, isn't it? Oh no, sorry, it was a bit more lifelike. Oh,
and let's be perfectly frank, he's got his own hair. Can we ask you about Chris and Stephen? Now, obviously they're nice boys, but why is that in his head? Let's be perfectly frank.
Maybe, do you know what I would say? That his hair is one of a kind, isn't it?
Oh, and certainly. A one wig of a kind. We were on, I have to tell you, they don't like us very much because we were on, who here loves Marlon Dennis? We love Marlon, okay? A national treasure for you guys. We were in Marlon Dennis's show and we adore her. And she said, so guys, tell me what you think about Chris and Stephen. And this is like a year and a half ago before we knew who they were. And we said, without meaning to be bitchy, who are they? And she was like, oh God. We were like, no, we've only just come here, we don't know. And then she said, you know the guys who've got design shows, blah, blah, blah. They're like the Canadian version of you guys. And she showed us a picture. And she pulled a picture out from a file that she had live during the show. And I said, is that some type of beaver in his head? Or is it a hat? And ever since then, they're absolutely furious. We'd never met them. This is a year and a half ago. We were at an event called Fashion Scares in Toronto about 4 or 5 weeks ago. Bumped into Chris and Stephen. And the big fat one with the stick-on teeth and the funny hair. That's really bad.
That's rude in Canada.
It is rude. I can't help it.
That's rude in Canada.
I'm Scottish, you see, and I don't have any power of censor. I have none whatsoever. Particularly not when they give me a glass of champagne before coming out here. Look at Catherine covering Ellery's little ears. Anyway, they came flying up to us at this event, and he was all that way, arms folded around his bulk, snapping like this, doing all that. I'm like, what is this, a snap off? So I snapped back like this, and he snapped back again, and then a gust of wind happened, and his hair got torn off his head, landed in somebody's soup plate. I was mortified. Meanwhile, Telly Savalas underneath that head. It's scandalous. Kojak, remember Kojak?
And then, do you know what? This from a man in a fake fur coat.
I think you're right.
Honestly, if anyone knows about polyester.
No, animal. In fact, you know what? I'm not entirely sure. I do question the wisdom of a designer on stage under arc lights in a fur coat. I may actually have to take off a couple of layers, ladies and gentlemen. You'll excuse me if I strip down to my mini kitty and my hot high heels.
Does anyone recognise this coat? Do you remember in one of the first episodes of Home Heist, the homeowner gave us a fur coat as a present? And Justin and I wrestled in the front garden. It was a $10 fur coat from Value Village.
But it's the way you wear it. I think you'll find it's not how much money you spend, Colin, but how you spend it that makes all the difference. And I wear that coat with considerable designer applause. I can see you looking at it thinking he's obviously spent many, many thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on that. Who knew that it cost more than pretty much the same price as a double mac and cheese from McDonald's? There you are.
Anyway, so one of a kind, what are we doing here? Well, you know, actually this show really ties in with our thinking, because we're two of a kind in Canada. But when we're in someone's home, when we're in your homes, we're always trying to make them individual. You know, and we're trying to make those homes one of a kind. You know, and we're always saying it's not about how much money you spend, it's about how you spend it. And really, you should spend at home, but you should spend time considering, you know, and trying to get your space just right. So the fact that you're all out here, you know, supporting lovely local makers, trying to buy something that is individual and totally different, is music to the ears of Colin and Justin. Okay, so you're doing fabulously.
But everything that's here, we've had a wander around already today, and after the show we're going to go to a proper wander, because what we're always looking for are those kind of, we call them nuggets, designer nuggets, the things, are you still getting your hands over his ears? It's safe now. Was it the sound of the back part there? It's safe now. I'm not going to say anything else rude. We're always talking about designer nuggets, the little things that kind of temper your overall scheme. You know, for example, girls, you've got your favourite little black dress, or boys, you've got your favourite suit.
Or some of the boys even.
Or maybe some of the boys have got their favourite little black dress. Who would we be to comment? No, that's all I'm going to say.
I know. What do you think?
No, wouldn't today. We're always saying that you can have your basic dress, and I'm being metaphorical here, I'm thinking in terms of the interior that can be changed as the seasons go by. So you've got your little black dress with your basic suit, you change your shoes, your scarf, you add a hat, you change your handbag. The jewellery and the accessories around about can be changed to completely change the mood. And that's why something that starts off by day as a casual outfit can become a really elegant evening outfit. And we're always doing that. Those are our designer nuggets. We're looking for the things that we can add to our homes that take us beyond the homogeny of the high street. Because let's face it, the world has been painting itself greyish lately. That's a combination of grey and beige. And we're much more about adding colour, not over kind of suffocating with colour, but adding little bits of colour here and pops of individuality that really bring your place to life. So walking around the aisles, as we've already done at the One of a Kind show, there are so many fantastic things. We've assembled a selection of the things that we really are impressed by. And one of the things, now this little fellow here, to me, is just the cutest little man in the world. This is the Little Brown Wren Company. And that's $70 for a handmade doll. Now, I know that you probably think, looks a little bit unlike any of the teddy bears that I cuddled into when I was a baby. Well, that's darling, because tastes change, and there's a certain kind of emergence in the high street at the moment of stuff that's different and a little bit more imagined. And well, that's a little ugly fella. I'm going to go and buy this. It's 70 bucks. I said pounds. 70 bucks. I'm going to go and buy that because I think this kind of thing, you'll keep for years and years and years and years. Do you like that? That's a reluctant yes. I think what you're saying is, oh my goodness, it's fabulous.
You know what teens like? Maybe the whole retro thing. You know, isn't it funny though that the older you get, that retro doesn't really exist? Do you think, has that actually gone out of fashion and is it now retro again? And I think I'm now in this loop whereby I still think that things are quite kind of current, but younger people keep saying to me, oh, well, that's new, is it? And I'm like, oh yeah, it's retro. You know, and the whole kind of like bent wood, you know, gorgeous little clocks as well. I mean, they've taken that whole retro idea a step further. You know, you guys, you love your timber here in Canada, don't you? That would look great in your basement, wouldn't it? On your bar, next to your grandmother's old sofa with the old TV that you watched 20 years ago. Still there, quite chuck it out, even though everything's gone digital. You know, this would totally tie in with your retro thinking, but maybe we'd do it in a much more stylish way. You know, I'd say that if we were in someone's basement, a good old Canadian basement, and you had all your old furniture in there, and all your fake timber on the wall, and it looked like a Swedish knocking shop, probably, a massage parlour.
Rub and tug, happy ending.
Well, we strip all the nonsense out.
$20.
Exactly. When we lose all the nonsense, maybe we would buy you a lovely clock like this and pop that in, so there was still a little bit of retro timber in there. Okay.
Another thing that Colin and I love to do is to really mix old and new and mix kind of modern finishes with much more organic finishes. And that's why a table like this by Eclectic Design. Eclectic Design are here and exhibited during the One-of-a-Kind show. I really like this because it's so organic and so sinuous. I love the flow of the pattern of the wood. It's all natural. That spalting and the burr of the timber. It's the kind of thing that it's so real, yet displayed as it is on this really lovely modern timber base. It's again that perfect fusion of times gone by, i.e. the historic nature of real timber, shaved up against this really modern kind of backdrop, and I think it's a really, really nice collection. And again, stuff like this, just check who that's by. Tsunami glass. This, to me, if you could feel the weight of this, it's absolutely rock solid. Solid glass, beautifully pulled to this length. And it's got that really thick, we all know the Polish glass happens like Krosno and Alami and stuff. This has got all the kind of the weight that those products have, yet it's got complete individuality. If you buy the Polish glass, it's all manufactured in similar factories. If you buy a lot of the Russian glass, it's all beautiful, but it's all manufactured in similar environments. It's the same if you go over to Italy and go to Venice and buy the Venetian glass. A lot of it is really lovely, but a lot of it is exactly the same as every other piece that you see in the shelves. Each of these designs by Tsunami glass is completely different. It's hand-pulled glass, not literally with bare hands, because obviously that would cause major injury. And that's never a good thing, even in the name of high glamour interiors.
Well, exactly. Do you know what, Alan, do you like these? I picked these. These are by Prints, and they're from BC. And I just think they're really, really sweet, you know. And I think throw pillows are a great way of doing something that's a wee bit tongue-in-cheek. You know, a little bit jaunty, a little bit out there, you know, and I think humour is really important in terms of interior design. You know, we have a lot of fun on Home Heist. Our lovely family, our lovely Cheryl. Do we like Cheryl? She's a gorgeous, gorgeous girl, isn't she?
Who knew that Cheryl was a young man?
She's not!
She did. I paid $195 for her sex change. We found her in Bangkok working.
Bad.
We brought her across to Canada. $195 of my dollars for a
she's
operation.
John, I think you'll find that she is 100% Canadian woman, darlings.
Hey, yes. She's given us a major run for our money.
She has
We've been
indeed.
used to having a lot of designers working with us who allow us all manner of getting our own way. You guys know that Cheryl's a fantastically capable woman, a brilliant designer, and she has become our strongest asset. We interviewed 500 people for that job, and every time, I felt awful because Colin and I were sitting in a room like Simon Cowell, next, no use,
No, give up your day job, love.
And Cheryl was in the late 400s, she was just systematically brought in. And Colin and I, the minute she walked in, she just went, okay, here goes, and she just started to talk, and instantly we knew that she was the best addition for our team, so she's been amazing.
She is absolutely fantastic, and I know that she would adore it. I just love these. I think, do you like them? Do they meet with your seal of approval? Yes. I think even look, she's practically kicking her height at the front there.
Now, who likes to bake at home? Who likes to cook?
Who are the bakers?
The Canadians love to cook. Who considers themselves to be an aficionado when it comes to shortbreads?
Shortbread, anyone?
Are you any good at it? Darling, I'm going to come down to you. This Coach House are absolutely amazing. A Coach House do this shortbread, which is incredibly delicious. Now wait till I just take this. Normally as a host I would say, have the first bit yourself. I'm a bit of a greedy gannet.
What flavour are these? All butter shortbread. Now, if anyone knows about shortbread, it should be Scottish boys, shouldn't it? You know. So.
May I come down here amongst you? May I just pop down off the shelf? I used to be about hip living. Now I'm more about hip replacement.
These look good.
There you are. Would you take this and pass it amongst your lovely audience there? This is the crumbliest, most beautiful shortbread that you've ever set your tongue upon.
Have you tried one yet?
I did. I had a little tiny corner.
Did you? Even though you're a great weight.
Well, I have to watch every calorie column. Thank you for pointing that out, that I'm on a relentless diet.
Oh, I can't open them.
My weight goes up and down like a yo-yo.
Shit, that man at the back looks hungry. He's got a hungry look about him.
Can I show you something that happened as I ran here to make sure that we weren't late today? I burst my way right on my life. I'm like Lou Ferrigno over there. Look at that.
Let the audience see over here. Can I just say, this is what happens if you have too much shortbread?
No! I didn't burst out the blouse because I'm too heavy. I was literally running, and it's my favourite shirt. It's about 100 years old and I wear it all the time. I love red, as you maybe already know. And now it's ruined. Is anybody in this audience prepared to sew my shirt back together? For the love of God and all that's good and just.
You're in the right place, baby. This is craft central, isn't it? Canada. You know, if we can get anyone that can sew your shirt, it'll be someone here.
Now, get back to Home Heist for a minute. When we came across here, I don't know if you know how. Let me tell you quickly the story of how we ended up working and living in Canada. Our show, or a previous British show called How Not to Decorate, does really well on HGTV over here. So we came across to Canada to do one of the home shows in this actual building.
It was in this building?
About 2 and a bit years ago, and we came across and we were literally promoting the old British shows for the Canadian market. And by chance, one of the people in the audience was our commissioner, a lady called Anna Geeson. And Anna contacted us after the show and said, so why don't you do 4 one-off Canadian versions of How Not to Decorate? So over we came and immediately started to plan the way that it would go. And we got such an incredible volume of response from our attempts to get people to be involved in the show. I think we had something like 55,000 applicants for the first season of what was intended as 4. So it quickly grew to 12, then 14, then 25, then 26, was renamed Home Heist, and the whole brand was born. So that's kind of how we came to be working in this country.
Remember, there was something peculiar happened, and this is absolutely true, okay? We came here, we were at all these wonderful events promoting How Not to Decorate, and then we went back to Glasgow. Does anyone know what Glasgow is? You know Glasgow? Really famous city. There was the river that runs through Glasgow. It's very famous. The River Clyde, of course, home of shipbuilding. So Justin and I were taking a walk along the Clyde side, and I said, didn't you have a great time in Canada? Wasn't it fantastic? And we were like, yeah, you know, we really should try and go back there at some point. And we thought, yeah. At that point, this is true, I spotted a bottle bobbing up and down in the river, and on closer inspection revealed that it was a Canada Dry bottle. And I thought, oh, this is a bit odd, isn't it? So I said to Justin, look, I think there's a piece of paper in that bottle. I think we need to get it. So I grabbed Justin by the ankles and I hung him over the side of the river, which was a bit of an eyeful because he was wearing a kilt that day.
Being a true star,
so I held him by the ankles, he grabbed the bottle, fished it out, and we scampered back onto the banks of the river. Now we opened that bottle, and there was a piece of paper in it. And we unravelled the piece of paper, and it said, "Help me, please." And do you know who had signed that piece of paper? Debbie Travis. It's completely true. Would I lie?
It's actually true.
It's a true story.
They're bizarrely, which reminds me, it's an awful thing, but I've got a lovely, my favourite joke. Can I just tell you before I tell you this little mini baby joke? We love Debbie Travis and she's become a really good friend of ours. But it's quite a surprise because we've said some wicked stuff, and she said some wicked stuff about us as well. But it brought us on to our favourite joke. Do you know the knock knock joke in Canada? Okay, let's try it and see if it works. Knock knock. Who's there? Debbie Travis. Debbie Travis who? Oh well, that shows. That's really bad.
You encouraged them to do that. You're a bad audience. Bad.
She's a really, really lovely girl. She's obviously another Brit as well, so we've got a great affinity. And her husband makes a lot of television. He makes her shows, and I think we're going to be working with her husband in the future. So we've become quite good friends, which is really nice, because obviously we want to be part of the design community over here, and it's been really great fun. But getting back into home heist again, our whole big thing is making stylish homes without breaking the budget. We spent an awful lot more in your house than we should have done, and we're still suffering with our producers. But
exactly, Justin's got no lunch anymore.
I'll tell you what, and that's quite a sizable budget to keep me in this shape. But we're always talking about how we can make homes look brilliant without spending as much money as some people might think they would do to get them looking like they do. And we have such a brilliant time. The Canadian design community is so strong and so buoyant, and there's everything here, not just in this building, but just generally within the design community that can help you and your home look amazing. I mean, we shop in places like Zellers, we go to HomeSense, we go to all the places that everybody else goes. And our big adage, if you like, is it's not how much money you spend, but how you spend it. You don't need to go out there and spend tens of thousands of dollars to create a really big impression. You can do it all with a little spend, carefully and auspiciously shop, and work the most wonderful schemes. And that's why when we put the Home Heist book together, we did it with a real kind of piece of joy and a piece of love in our heart, because have a little model of that book. That's quite some amount of after-shop photos.
I know, look at that, we're like teenagers on the cover of that. I just wish I had nostrils. You know, I think they've overdone it.
They've done a lot of airbrushing in that.
Exactly.
Just 71 and 73.
Exactly. Imagine, you know the Home Heist program. It's like the bullet train, if you like, between what? Two destinations. Destination A, terrible home, no offence. Destination B, fabulous home, okay? The Home Heist style guide gives you a chance to stop off at all the stations. So maybe you want to know more about kitchens, more about bathrooms, and just more about our thinking and how you can actually create a great home as well. Then this is the book for you. And it's not one of those books that's full of beige interiors. You know, there's a lot of colour in here, because we genuinely, I'll give you that back, my love, we genuinely believe that we're all one of a kind. You know, you look around, you know, we don't all look the same, we don't all dress the same, so why would your home look the same? You know, so I think it's really important, it's our message, that it's really important for you guys when you go home to look at your space. It's your biggest investment, you know, whether you own it, whether you rent it, whatever. You know, it's still an investment in terms of time that you spend there.